Fendi like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast.
Hey, black people in there. Anybody that's listening to this video can hear my voice. I'm here to tell you that the media is not your friend. Before I get off into some other stuff, like, again, the Carlee situation, and then this update about the chicken nugget story we talked about on the podcast, I want to first send out a message to WBAL in Baltimore. The fact that they reported that black kids broke into a pool, like they made that news over the fact that pools are closed in Baltimore during the hottest summer, on record, is very, very telling. First of all, they must have had like drones that they used to follow these kids and record them jumping a fence in Drew Hill Park just so they could swim in the pool. Which, by the way, the water was not blue, it was like a green color. But the fact, this is the point, the fact that they made that into a news story and not the fact that pools in Baltimore are closed during the summer, but also during one of the hottest summers, is very, very telling. The media is not your friend, black people. Just want to put that out there. Forgot to talk about that across the last 3 videos I put out this week, but I had to get up on here to talk about that. But also, I must be a psychic. I really must be a psychic, like not like Sylvia Brown or John Edward, not even Linda Georgian, because y'all heard it here on the I Refuse podcast. My skepticism around Carlee Russell is really coming to the light. Here's the thing. Like, at this point, I was saying yesterday, at this point, there wasn't an actual baby. What Carlee Russell saw was a Cabbage Patch doll, a stuffed toy baby or something. Because, like, I tell y'all all the time, we are so corny and so bored with life. Like, you could be anything, you could do anything in this world within reason. Well, you can do anything as long as you don't get caught. But is Alabama that boring to y'all? Girlfriend, so it's come out that she did some search results, I think, on her phone. Um, about Amber Alerts, I think, like, how much does it cost, and various other search results. Crime 101. You're never going to outrun phone data, computer data, surveillance data. Like, nothing you say to a person's face will undermine what that kind of evidence. Like, you don't think during an investigation they don't need to like ask for your phone. They'll go over your head and go to the carrier, the mobile carrier, whether it's T-Mobile or whether it's Cricket. Hell, it could be an Obama phone. They will go over your head, and these companies have no choice but to give up the information because it's an active investigation. So when you go on your phone that y'all swear up and down is not tracking you, is not following you, is not listening to casual conversations that you're having about, I don't know, ring bell cameras. The next thing you know, you go on Facebook, you go on YouTube, and what's in the recommended? Doorbell ring camera videos. And what's on your feed? Recommend product recommendations for doorbell cameras. So Carlee Russell, if Breakfast Club has not given her Donkey of the Day, they will, and she'll probably be a multiple Donkey of the Day for a couple of weeks. Because here's what is else is going on. So they allege that she concocted this thing allegedly, and then stayed at the Red Roof Inn for 2 days. And she did all this to get her boyfriend's attention. Now while the family's coming out and saying allegedly that that's a hoax and that's a lie, people that were part of the search party allegedly are furious at old girl and furious at the authorities and the news for not updating them. This is another reason why I mind my African American business, because everybody's rushing to like help and feel sorry and anything out of the good of their heart. You know, that bullshit that people teach you growing up. Oh, do what's best. Do what's good. And it's like sometimes that shit doesn't pay the bills. And I'm not saying you should go out and do illegal shit, but it's like you exert so much energy, especially during a pandemic phase in life where that shit, like if you've had it, it continues to drain you. Like your body is just not the same. But you take a little energy that COVID has not taken already to go out and be part of a search party before, you let the other shoe drop. Now you done spent hours upon hours looking for a stranger that wasn't gone to begin with. This heifer was allegedly at the Red Roof Inn for 2 days. And now you sitting there looking foolish because the family isn't talking to you. They're not having a news conference. Like, there isn't much coming out. Like, they're not in front of the cameras. They're not in the driveway stomping their feet. Like, Carlee Russell didn't even wait. Didn't even wait 3 days to just be like, just drop me off here. Like, I knew it. I was like, no abduction or kidnapping ends with a person just being dropped off at a specific place, healthy and in one piece. But the boyfriend and the family allegedly just jump in front and say, well, she's not talking. She's mentally and physically exhausted. It's like no matter what you do, though, the shit you were doing leading up to that moment is definitely up to be reviewed and investigated. Girlfriend really said one thing on the phone about she pulled over and was looking for the baby, or she saw a baby. But the cell phone data allegedly states that this girl walked or the signal physically went across the length of 2 football fields. In the dark? I mean, kudos for the level of commitment. Because, baby, like, people will commit to the lie. The commitment to a lie, that should definitely be studied. Like, the National Institute of Health should study that shit. It should be documented in the Smithsonian. When they update the timeline of evolution, that should be like a little line, like on the little timeline. Like, we have evolved to where we are committed to the lie, where it's like, even after we get the attention and we get the news coverage. And, she probably realized in the interim, oh, this shit escalated a little bit fast. I just wanted to get, little Tony from off the block. I wanted to get his attention because he's not been paying attention to me while Jesus is preheating the oven. I just need to get his attention, but I'm in this Red Roof Inn and I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to. That's why you always gotta have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, a plan E. You always gotta do that. What if? I'm giving y'all a free game, cause I went to college. I went to college, and I'm just saying, like, you gotta have an escape plan. And being in a hotel for 2 or 3 days this entire time, and not like any hotel, but like one not too far from your house. And then you decide, shit, I'm okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna just catch an Uber back to my parents' house and just walk in give my best Viola Davis performance, and that'll be that. But here we are. Here we are, almost towards the weekend, and right now it stands as though Carlee's trade has scrubbed all of her photos off of his IG. Indication that he knows the truth, or the common sense and the critical thinking has set in. He realizes, allegedly, this is my theory, that he's in over his head. Because he had been defending her most of this week, right? Oh, she's physically exhausted. Oh, mentally. Oh, don't talk to her. Don't touch her. Don't look at her. Blah, 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 blah. Now he done scrubbed. Carlee's trade has has scrubbed any indication of her existence in his life off of his social media. Like Selena Johnson said, it all falls down. I'm telling you all. It all falls down. But don't fret. I feel like Lifetime is probably working on getting the rights to this story. Lifetime is going to probably work this into a movie. If not, it'll probably be on Tubi. Because if there's anything that I know that Lifetime or anybody that has those poorly budgeted films, is that they will make a movie out of anything, even if it doesn't even turn out well. Remember when we still had that Flint water crisis? Before they even got clean water and the pipes got replaced or whatever, they made a whole movie while it was still happening. A whole movie starring Queen Latifah. So the people in the movie probably got clean water before Flint did. And Flint is where my boy Eric Mays is. He should run for president, but that's a different conversation. So this Carlee Russell thing, like, you could easily turn this into a comedy. You could easily turn this into a docuseries about boredom, being corny, mental health, being bored with life, just all around not being too bright. But Carlee Russell, like, the way this thing has kind of played out, like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see this on Tubi as an exclusive, or you see it on Pluto. Maybe Peacock, but definitely Tubi. Definitely Tubi. Right next to Amen, which is on there. Finally, I can see that. And no, I will not be skipping the intro. Because Vanessa Bell Calloway really be putting her foot into that. But before I get up out of here, right? We talked about this story on the podcast at first. Actually, probably a couple months ago. Season 4 is out, as well as the previous 3 seasons of the I Refuse podcast. available on 8 streaming platforms. The link is on the Twitter and the Instagram. The Twitter handle is at I Refuse Podcast. That's all one word. The link is on there. Be sure to follow and subscribe to all of that. Um, we talked about this story out of Broward County, Florida. Shocking. Where a woman sued McDonald's um, for giving her and her daughter a chicken nugget order. One of the nuggets, when she was in the drive-through, one of the nuggets slipped out of the cup, out of the bag, and managed to lodge itself between the belt buckle or whatever on this little girl's thigh. And it went all the way to trial. And despite the fact that this woman, the little girl was not put on the stand because the mother claimed that the girl had autism. They were awarded $800,000 recently. Little 8-year-old girl awarded $800,000 over a burned chicken nugget. Before I go into my critical thinking error on this video again, um, any of y'all got an 8-year-old girl that I can borrow? I just want to take her to McDonald's. I'll treat her. I'll pay for the food. $800,000 for a burned chicken nugget. I am going to say here, probably repeat what I've said on the podcast. Because going into this story, when I first started talking about it, I couldn't help but say to myself, we are so unserious out here. This is the kind of shit is why Jesus does not answer our voicemails. This is the kind of shit that causes aliens and their tinted spaceships to roll their windows up and lock their doors and keep rolling past the planet. Because the hottest thing that comes out of McDonald's on a good day is the coffee. And I went into this whole thing about, other lawsuits, in the Sue Happy climate involving too much ice and Starbucks drinks, coffee coming out of the McDonald's drive-thru too hot. And I'm like, we're suing companies for user error. Like, okay, you have some wiggle room with me when it comes to hot coffee. Thing is, though, even with that, hand to hand, you have control over that. And there's one thing that I always do. I've been doing this since I was young. Is I would always try the lid before I bring the thing into my car. Because not everybody's going to get it right. But people don't even do that. And then, people have to be careful on both sides. And not everybody that works for their $8 or $9 is going to be careful and is going to get it right because there's so much happening. Human nature. People that make more money than that get bigger shit they can't get right. That's a whole nother conversation. So that is like very little wiggle room. And then you get to where people were suing, like they literally were suing Starbucks for putting too much ice in their iced coffee drinks. Like you couldn't request how much ice you want in your iced coffee drink. Like even on principle, that's a little silly. So when you get to this story about the burned chicken nugget and the claim that there was third-degree burns and all this other stuff, I had to think. I'm like, by the time it goes from the grease and it's and it comes out of the grease, it starts to cool down. Like the grease and the lamp in the little mechanism that holds the food that they put in the cups. Was it on mercury heat. Like, that's what I'm not getting. Like, the hottest thing that comes out of the McDonald's is the fries, which at that point it's like they have to move pretty fast for it to still be hot from the grease. Um, and the coffee. Not the sausage, not the bacon, not the eggs, and definitely not the chicken nuggets, unless I'm missing something. Unless they literally pulled it from the nuggets from the grease into the cup. In which by that point, how is it that it burned her but didn't burn anybody else? $800,000. I'm just saying, like, you got a little nephew or a little niece that's like 8 or 9 years old that I can borrow. I want to take them to McDonald's. Like, I, just have a nice day. I'll treat them to McDonald's. We'll see what happens. And if I too can do that, shit. Like, we got it made in the shade. It'll be 50-50. It won't be like a McMillions kind of thing where the guy was making fraudulent McDonald's pieces. Ooh, that's a good documentary. Um, but here's the thing: it's like a good indication that you're being scammed is if the person wants you to pay them. Now, $800,000 is not a lot, given that this went on for a couple years, like the trial, the complaint, and all that other stuff. Couple years, you got to pay court costs, you got to pay lawyers' fees, um, and you know they're going to take a big chunk if they won, and they clearly won. Um, and understand that like what you're awarded is not what you take home. You know, it's right up there with the whole conversation we've been having on the podcast about gross versus net and net worth versus cash on hand. Y'all think because people are worth $1 billion that they actually have $1 billion? No, no. So that's cute, but this will definitely open up the doors for other unserious shit that people will try anything just to get over. Like, we are probably in our most desperate era and definitely most problematic, and doing the most to just be seen for likes and views and like putting on a show. And at this point, you're not even getting paid much professionally to put on a show. Shout out to the actors strike, the writers strike, and now it looks like the FedEx and the UPS strike. Doing the most for what? Like, I really think even with like the money, with the reality that you really make money from being on live for hours and hours on end and building, having a character on that, you're not really making anything off of just doing TikTok videos. And if you stay at it, maybe you'll make something off of YouTube videos. But I'm not on here to like make money. I'm just really on here to be talking about shit that just is so unserious to me. Like, what will be the outcome for McDonald's? Like, they have like food standards to go by, and with that you really can't cook food or have your grease up too hot. But I'm curious though, like, I've been to McDonald's, I've worked at McDonald's too. Ugh, what an era that was. But I was thinking about it. I'm like, how hot was this chicken nugget? And $800,000 to McDonald's ain't shit. Like they make 4 times that much each day, probably each week. Um, but people reading this from the comfort of their recliner is probably going to be like, "Well, that's the world for you. Can't even go to McDonald's. We're staying away from." No, that's probably somebody in the backwoods, probably thinking that while they're eating their fries. But me, I'm like, what? What is that going to mean for like fast food places? Like, how long was this nugget on this girl's leg? And part of me, when I first started talking about this, was like, this lady probably went home, put put that thing in the oven for like 2 hours, or put it in the microwave for like 20 minutes. Anything to get as hot as possible and put it on that girl's leg. Because, nowhere in the story, as I was watching or, reading this and stuff, did I hear any like testimony or seen testimony from McDonald's workers. Like anything that's a problem is usually a problem in the moment. That's an indication that it's either the truth or a manipulation or a lie. And what, like, I know Florida. When it said Florida, I was just like, Florida is in the news every week about something that just doesn't make sense. Like, I feel like they're on their own channel, like just trying to get money, just trying to get money. Like, I don't know what. It must be something in the water. I know it's definitely climate change. Like, y'all are slowly sinking into the water. But it's just the mind down there. It's just so much questionable shit coming out of Florida. Now we're at a point where a singeing chicken nugget could get you a 6 figure win in court. Curious to know what this will mean for McDonald's and other fast food places that are just trying to give and serve food. Like, it's already enough that y'all are fighting down in the McDonald's and coming at workers about why is the food taking so long and why'd you shut the window in my face so disrespectfully, like putting on a scene. Like, I couldn't even go to Burger King once. Well, I went, but what is it about the $6 food, y'all? Before I get up out of here, what is it about the $6 food or $8 food that got y'all cutting up? Like, I went to the Burger King once with a friend of mine. I pulled in to the parking lot, headed to the drive-through. There were 3 cars by the side door. I went around the 3 cars, went to the speaker, was minding my business, and as I am ordering, an SUV starts to come up from behind on the right side, honking the horn, lady yelling out the window in my direction, talking about, "Oh, this what we doing? This what we doing? This what we doing? Hey, this what we doing? This what we doing? What's wrong with you? I was in line, blah, blah, blah." Not paying her any mind. My passenger is having a good time. I'm not, it's not even hitting me that the people inside the Burger King on the headset can hear this. I'm just ordering. I order my food. I turn to my passenger, ask him what he like. The passenger window is cracked a little bit so I can hear her, and I'm not paying her any mind. Middle-aged black lady with her split ends in a what looked to be an Escalade or a Mercedes truck or whatever. with her little $10, $5 bill in her hand. Oh really? Black Lives Matter, right? Black Lives Matter. That's what we doing. Not really paying her any mind, but I'm looking at her, trying to like with my what the fuck face, like. And then she pulls off. Didn't get into the drive-through. Didn't go into Burger King. Just had a little moment. Probably felt good and sped off. I thought you was here to get food. So I pull up to the first window. And the girl with the headset on is laughing her ass off. And I was like, you heard that, right? She was like, yeah, we heard the whole thing. We were in here laughing. And I gave her the little card, to pay for the food. Like, what is wrong with y'all? Burger King. You really cutting up for this little bit of food. This what we doing, Black Lives Matter, right? Oh, okay. Um, I don't think police brutality and a number one Whopper meal are mutually exclusive. But, a guilty pleasure of mine before I get up out of here, like a guilty pleasure of mine, Mr. Fox, is that sometimes during the day and for a couple of hours late at night, I watch like the customer people freak out videos on YouTube. Like when this earth is turns into Thanos dust and a new species of humans or a new species of animal person hybrid discovers a new civilization and this shit is in like some kind of time capsule. In that time capsule will be shit like this where y'all will cut up. Y'all are so pressed about a burrito or so pressed about a little chicken box. Definitely that Popeye's chicken sandwich that y'all will turn into crackheads over it, go into the spot, or make a scene in the drive-through, cuss out people, and call it, "Oh, I'm doing this on principle," oh, and all this other stuff. Like, what's wrong with y'all? Throwing shit, fighting people, and now y'all down at the airport, especially at the Spirit information desk, cussing out employees like they have control over the cancellation. And I'm in bed like, wow, now you on the no-fly list. Like once upon a time, flying was an upper echelon activity. Didn't have to worry about anything. You get on, put your little carry on in the overhead, sit down, buckle up. Y'all started getting up out y'all seat before, the plane lands. Even though the pilot told y'all asses not to do that. Now y'all are at a point where y'all are getting on there drunk. Y'all are cussing out people, telling people to control their kids, fighting flight attendants. The pilots are drunk. The girls are coming down the aisle talking about that motherfucker right back there is not real. I think y'all are having hallucinations, and this pandemic is really influencing all of that. But yeah, like now we have gone from flying being an upper echelon activity to literally Greyhound with wings. This is Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. Be sure to check and follow and subscribe to the I Refuse podcast. Everywhere you see us, we're on Spotify, Apple, Google, Overcast, iHeartRadio, about 2 or 3 other streaming platforms. We're also on YouTube where you'll see this video. We have a Twitter at I Refuse Podcast. We also have an Instagram at I Refuse Podcast _ between the words. And we will catch you guys next time. While I'm over here minding my African American business, I'm sure there'll be some more shit that I will talk about later. And you'll be the first to know. So stay hydrated, stay out the sun. It's warm as a bitch, even indoors. Pay your bills, look after your kids. Try not to beat somebody up on the highway. Wear the mask if the air quality is shit. Stay hydrated, grease your scalp. Find a pool if you can. Don't trust the news or, most of it. And stay away from a Kennedy. We will take it easy over here. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.